An organised crime gang was involved in a conspiracy to supply up to 72 million worth of heroin and cocaine transported into South Wales. On one occasion, a member of the gang was found in possession of 5 kilograms of heroin after delivering the cash in a crane. Kerry Evans, 35, of Merthyr Tydfil, was the orchestrator of the enterprise, which involved drug dealing on an almost industrial scale, with huge amounts of money involved. Speaking at the sentencing hearing at Cardiff Crown Court, prosecutor Lloyd Jones said it involved various people in different roles at different points of time and geographic locations who came together to engage in drug dealing on a colossal scale and vast amounts of money. There was a widespread distribution network between the north of England and Merthyr Tydfil, with members of the gang ranging from those at the top of the supply chain to the bottom. During the course of an investigation by Regional Organised Crime Unit Tarian, almost 10 kilograms of cocaine and 5 kilograms of heroin were seized with a potential street value of in excess of 1.5 million. Mr. Jones said there were people in place at many different levels, from couriers and dealers to those responsible for the larger, almost wholesale distribution and storage of Class A drugs, to those at the top of the enterprise, responsible for the movement of millions of pounds worth of Class A drugs. Over the course of 12 months, Evans boasted he was involved in the sale of 600 kilograms of either heroin, cocaine, or a combination of the both. An estimated wholesale value of this amount was value between 13.8 million and 19.2 million. If broken down into street deals, the estimated value of the drugs was between 64 million and 72 million. Evans was described as a regional manager and was at the very top of the hierarchy in the gang. He was the focal point of contact of many of the drug deals and was in contact with the majority of the defendants in this case. Lloyd Jones, 30, of Merthyr Tydfil, was a trusted member of the enterprise and provided logistical support. He was discovered in possession of 5 kilograms of heroin in March 2023 by police after he had used a crane to make the pickup. The heroin was supplied by Jason, 47, and Heather Flannigan, 42, who had travelled from their home in Bolton. They worked for an upstream supplier which supplied drugs to Kerry Evans and delivered drugs on behalf of their employers. Ricky Griffiths, 39, was a trusted associate of Lloyd Jones and worked alongside him, handling the cash and drugs. Christopher Ray, 31, lived in Merthyr Tydfil and was employed by the organised crime group as a courier and tasked with distributing controlled drugs throughout South Wales. He was also employed as a driver. Alex Davies, 27, who was also based in Merthyr Tydfil, acted as a courier and was observed attending addresses in Merthyr Tydfil, Bristol and Leeds as part of his duties. David Halliwell, 40, travelled from Merthyr Tydfil from Bolton on 2 occasions and accepts he delivered drugs for upstream suppliers. Claire James, 37, provided a safe house at her home in Merthyr Tydfil and assisted by Wayne the drugs for onward distribution. Leon Owen, 29, was seen travelling from South Wales to London, where he picked up a bag from a jeweller's in Hatton Garden. He then travelled to Bolton, where the bag was exchanged with a woman. He also travelled up to Bolton on the second occasion. Asim Saeed, 45, met with Kerry Evans and Ray in a blue Toyota Yaris in January 2023. He was later stopped by police in Reading and found in possession of $98,970 in cash. His phone was seized and 1,098 messages to members of the gang were discovered. Kerry Evans of Penydarren pleaded guilty to 5 counts of conspiracy to supply Class A drugs. He was sentenced to 14 years and 5 months in prison. Lloyd Jones of Pant pleaded guilty to 3 counts of conspiracy to supply Class A drugs. He was sentenced to 8 years and 10 months imprisonment. Heather Flannigan and Heather Flannigan of Pinfold Close, West Horton, Bolton, both pleaded guilty to conspiracy to supply Class A drugs and offering to supply Class A and B drugs. Heather Flannigan also pleaded guilty to concealing criminal property. Heather Flannigan was sentenced to 7 years and 8 months imprisonment. Heather Flannigan was sentenced to 4 years and 3 months imprisonment. Ricky Griffiths of Chase View, Gairnews, Merthyr Tydfil, pleaded guilty to 2 counts of conspiracy to supply Class A drugs. He was sentenced to 7 years and 1 month imprisonment. Christopher Ray of Hayden Terrace, Penydarren, Merthyr Tydfil, pleaded guilty to 2 counts of conspiracy to supply Class A drugs. He was sentenced to 7 years and 6 months imprisonment. Alex Davies of Oak Road, Gairnews, Merthyr Tydfil, pleaded guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to supply Class A drugs. He was sentenced to 7 years imprisonment. David Halliwell of Mayor Hall Drive, Bolton, pleaded guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to supply Class A drugs. He was sentenced to 6 years and 7 months imprisonment. Leon Owen of Plass Road, Gravesend, Swansea, pleaded guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to supply Class A drugs. He was sentenced to 7 years and 9 months imprisonment. Claire James of White Street, Dowlace, pleaded guilty to 3 counts of conspiracy to supply Class A drugs. She was sentenced to 7 years and 10 months imprisonment. Asim Saeed of Southbury Road, Enfield, London, pleaded guilty to conspiracy to acquire criminal property and conspiracy to conceal criminal property. He was sentenced to 18 months imprisonment. Following the hearing, Detective Inspector Vinnie Easton from the Tarian Regional Organised Crime Unit said, "We welcome the sentences given to these men and women for their roles in smuggling and selling very significant amounts of Class A drugs in South Wales. This thorough investigation uncovered a major drugs conspiracy and is a great example of the detailed work carried out to combat this kind of organised crime. Illegal drugs have no place in our society, and the offenders in this operation were part of an organised criminal gang who caused harm and misery in our communities through the supply of drugs." Please like this video, please comment, and don't forget to subscribe to my crime channel. Thank you.